What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? Though a lot of Honkai Star Rail players are asking themselves the question, should I pull for Ruan Mei? Should I pull for her eidolons? Should I pull for her signature light cone? Or should I wait till Hanabi, otherwise known as Sparkle, comes out in patch 2.0? Well, in this video, we're going to explore this question, because players need to know now whether they want to pull for Ruan Mei or wait until Hanabi, because the patch 2.0 special programming isn't going to occur until part 2 of patch 1.6, meaning Ruan Mei will not be available once we know more public information about Hanabi and get a really good look at her kit. So let's get into this. So let's just get this out of the way real quick. The character on screen throughout the video, I will be calling them either Hanabi or Sparkle. They are the same person. I want everyone to feel included, so I will be using both names because depending on what part of the world you are from, this character will either release with the name Sparkle or Hanabi, so there you go. That's that. Let's move on. All right, so Ruan Mei versus Hanabi. Who's better? Well, I'm just going to let you know right now that there's not a single person on this entire planet that could possibly tell you the answer to that question, because believe it or not, Hanabi's kit is constantly changing. The developers have not finalized her kit quite yet, and her kit is somewhat changing every once in a while when people look at pre-release information that is not publicly available. So, to be honest with you, that is a hard question to kind of answer, but we will go over Ruan Mei versus Hanabi, aka Sparkle, a little bit later in the video. First, I want to take a look at Ruan Mei because there's a lot of players that are wondering to themselves if they should pull for Ruan Mei's Eidolon 1 or potentially her signature light cone, because they might already have Ruan Mei and they're just trying to decide, should I keep investing into my Ruan Mei or should I wait for Hanabi to come out and pull for her instead? Some players are curious about whether they want Ruan Mei, just the character, versus Sparkle. And again, we will go over that later in the video. Let's take a look at her Eidolon 1 so we can try to gauge the value of what we're trying to put into our Ruan Mei. This may help some players decide what they want to do. While the ultimate's field is deployed, the damage dealt by all allies ignores 20% of the target's defense. So all allies will have 20% defense shred while Ruan Mei's ultimate is active. This is a very, very powerful buff. Her Eidolon 1 is very strong, but is it better than her signature light cone? We'll take a look at that in just a moment. And I want to thank a viewer, actually, because they gave me a ton of math. Trying to determine where your damage output for each one will be, whether her signature light cone is better or whether her Eidolon 1 is better. So I have to thank Dave over here, otherwise known as @Godsthetics, because not only did they provide me this, but they did it without me even asking. I didn't even ask them for this, and they just gave it to me because they're apparently a super kind soul with apparently an enormous back. This is the most Chad profile picture I may have ever seen. You could land a plane on this dude's back. Holy crap. Oh my god. Anyways, we will take a look at this math in just a moment. Let's first take a look at the signature light cone so that we know what we're actually comparing to here. So, Ruan Mei's signature light cone says the following. Let's go find it. It says, so we have 60% break effect on it, which is good, but it's not necessarily something too crazy because her other best in slot option, Memories of the Past, is also very high in break effect, and it gives her 8 energy every time she uses a basic attack. This is a guaranteed 8 energy every time she uses her basic attack, so many people will actually rather have Memories of the Past than actually have her signature light cone. It just depends on what you're going for, what your build is, what your team synergies are, etc., etc. But it just goes to show, maybe if there's another amazing option for her light cone, do you really need her signature light cone, or could you actually just use Memories of the Past? I, for example, am using Memories of the Past, and I'll show you my build and my stats that I'm currently using right now and what I might be working towards later in the future. But first, let's continue with the light cone. So the best effect on the light cone is this. When the wearer uses their ultimate, it increases all allies' damage by 24%, lasting for 3 turns. So that's an incredible buff. And every time you use her ultimate, you'll also get 1 skill point back as well, because unless you live under a rock, you're going to have over 150% break effect on your Ruan Mei, because she has a trace that requires you to have 160%, well, actually 180%. I'll explain that in just a moment as well, because that can be confusing for some people. But as long as you have 180% break effect, you will be getting all of your buffs out of your Ruan Mei's trace. So because you're already building for that, you're guaranteed to get this skill point back no matter what. So you'll get a skill point and 3 turns of plus 24% damage for all allies. That's a really good buff. You'll also get 10 energy every time there's a new wave of enemies. Now, some people have complained to me, Pancake, when you went over ultimate synergies in your Ruan Mei guides, how come you didn't talk about her signature light cone's math? How come you didn't math out her signature light cone's energy regeneration? Well, because I can't properly do that. Every single team, every single account, every single player will have different times that they are clearing waves. So I can't properly math that out, because it's going to be at a different turn or a different cycle for literally every single player in the game. That's based off of RNG. This 10 energy is somewhat RNG based. You have to clear the wave in order to get the 10 energy. If you aren't clearing the wave quickly, it will take you longer to get the 10 energy. You get my point, hopefully. So that's why I couldn't math it, but this 10 energy goes to all allies. The cool thing about Memories of the Past, this is a guaranteed 8 energy every time you use her basic attack, and it goes to Ruan Mei. She can pretty much permanent ultimate using this light cone. It is harder for her to permanent ultimate with her signature. However, if you have well-built enough teams, you technically can permanent ultimate with her signature light cone as well. You just have to have some really cracked teams and synergies that make it work. So we know what the signature light cone does, okay? So let's move forward. Let's look at this math really quick so that we can talk about who's better, Ruan Mei or Hanabi, which, again, we're going to have to theorize that because we can't 100% say definitively because she's not out yet. We don't have her full kit. We don't know 100% what Hanabi is going to actually be like. We're going to have to theorize who's better, Ruan Mei or Hanabi. But let's continue this. Let's take a look at some of this math. So I'm just going to read their comment fully in their own words. I threw out a 100,000 damage assumption in a little bit of an example I was making, and that's why they used 100,000 damage as a general gauge for how much they will be buffing. So, assuming a damage percent orb and Ruan Mei's damage bonuses and the compounding effect that her resistance penetration has, all in all, comparing her Eidolon 1 for 2 turns to her signature light cone for 3 turns, E1 does 25% more of an increase than her signature light cone will. Her signature light cone increases by 33.655 for 3 turns. Her Eidolon 1 42 increase for 2 to 3 turns. So there's almost about a 10k difference. Now 10k is like not too much, to be perfectly honest with you. Both of these are very solid buffs, but the difference between the damage output of both is actually only 10,000 damage. This right here is pretty much one single Ting Yun basic attack's worth of difference. And sometimes you might even use a skill with your Ting Yun or whoever. This 10k is literally not... This is pretty much one support character's attack with their basic attack. That's pretty much all that is. That's not that big of a difference between the S1 and the Eidolon 1. So I understand what they mean when they say, if you choose her signature light cone, you choose it for utility. If you want more damage, you choose her Eidolon 1. And he says, no, I'm not coping. I have both. So they're trying to be as transparent as possible. You can either use it for a new video. Oh, he's just giving me some advice. Well, hey, thanks, man. I will use this for a new video. I'm doing it right now. So everybody, thank Dave over here, Godsthetics. Thank you so much for this math, man. I really appreciate it, man. This was awesome. I didn't even ask for this. They just gave it to me. So let's take... If you only have a 10,000 difference between her signature light cone and her Eidolon 1, like Dave was saying, and like I'm agreeing with, it's really a matter of what is better for you, what you think you'd rather have. So, for example, I have a Ruan Mei that's using Memories of the Past, right? I have 163% break effect on her. That means that I'm getting everything out of this buff right here. I get all of this 36% damage because when I enter battle, I will get another 20% break effect for all allies. So even though it only says 163.5% right here, when I enter battle, it will actually be 180% break effect. So I'm actually going to get everything that I want out of my Ruan Mei's trace bonus. And because I have enough break effect to do this, to be honest with you, thanks to this super cracked pair of hands, this break effect, 27.8%, was actually insane to get as a roll. Now I can actually have the Penacony set with giving me energy regeneration off of the set at bonus itself and the energy regeneration rate from that, giving me 124.4 energy regeneration. I have a guaranteed 3-turn ultimate with my Ruan Mei, even if she doesn't get hit. So to be perfectly honest with you, I'm satisfied with Memories of the Past, because only because of Memories of the Past can I guarantee that for myself. Now, it is very likely I still get hit, so her signature light cone would still be good. I could totally still use that and probably still keep like roughly permanent buffs on my Ruan Mei. So just something to think about there, though. If there's another really good option like Memories of the Past for your Ruan Mei, do you really need her signature light cone, or can you actually go for her Eidolon 1? So those that are curious about whether her Eidolon 1 or her signature light cone is better, well, if you want more damage, her Eidolon 1, according to Dave's math, and again, thank you, Dave, should be actually more damage. But not only that, it also might just be better for you anyway, because you might already have a really good light cone option in Memories of the Past. So, yes, the Eidolon 1 would cost you more Jade than it would for a signature light cone, but but mathematically speaking, it is typically the better choice to make. Now, the real question is Ruan Mei the character that you want to pull? Is her signature light cone or Eidolon what you need? Or should we be going for, should we be going for Sparkle or Hanabi? Well, let's take a look at this real quick here. So, Ruan Mei is a ice type premium harmony character that came out in the game, and she's incredibly powerful, right? She's able to create a dual DPS meta. She's able to really unlock like shield break meta. She can team-wide buff your entire team in many different ways. She doesn't care who your main DPS is. She's just going to buff everybody. She's like so just, she loves everybody, okay? Everybody love everybody. She's buffing literally everybody out there. Hanabi, now I can't publicly talk about what Hanabi is going to actually be providing you. It's just too early. But let's talk about what Hanabi is able to provide our teams based on what we already know about her. First of all, she's going to end up being a good character for anybody who's into feet, because as you can see from the splash art, if you're into feet, she seems like the character for you. Now let's continue forward. She's going to be a harmony-based quantum character, but everybody knows that. But what does that really mean? So, because we actually have a lot of quantum characters in the game now, the one thing that we have been missing from our harmony team, from our quantum team, is a harmony character. We have a character, Sela, who actually can give us she can give us a ton of damage. She's our DPS. We have Silverwolf, our debuffer, so she's basically a support as well. We have Fu Xuan, who can act as our solo sustain. And if you don't have a Fu Xuan, you can actually use Link as your solo, or Lynx as your solo sustain. We also have a very powerful character in QQ, and she can technically be your main DPS instead of a Silverwolf. We even have Shui Yi now, who I haven't built yet properly, but she could even act as a main DPS as well. The one thing that we are missing is a Harmony Quantum character to fully build our Quantum team. For all the Quantum Dream Team enjoyers that have been theory crafting and building their mono Quantum teams since Silver Wolf released, making the mono Quantum Dream Team even possible, the one thing that we have been missing for so long is actually a Harmony Quantum character. We only have had one support character so far in the form of Silver Wolf. We've been missing that second support character for mono Quantum to truly elevate Quantum teams to the next level. So if you're a mono Quantum enjoyer and you are continuing to build your mono Quantum team and you want to truly invest in your mono Quantum team and excel their power level to the next space, you really want Sparkle. You need Hanabi. Hanabi/Sparkle is a must pull for anybody that is actually building a Quantum team. This is a no-brainer pull for Hanabi situation. Okay? Now, I can't really talk too much about her kit, but I will say that many people have speculated that Hanabi won't just be good for Quantum teams. Based on certain things about her kit, she will be able to buff other really good characters as well. I mean, she's a Harmony character, right? She's going to provide buffs. That's what she does. She's a buffer. We've only had 2 5-star Harmony characters in the entire game, and Ruan Mei is the first premium Harmony character in the game so far, and she's an S+ tier the moment she came out. Ting Yun is also an S+ tier Harmony character, and we also have Bronya as an S+ tier Harmony character. Hanabi is destined to be an S+ tier character as well, and a lot of players are saying, and you'll just have to read between the lines of what I'm saying when I say this, but Hanabi is also expected to, and I would 100% agree with this, Hanabi/Sparkle is expected to actually improve the power level of Dan Heng and Bibitur Lune in a massive, massive way. Dan Heng and Bibitur Lune might actually get so much from Hanabi that he might technically have the possibility of being able to outperform Jingliu pretty regularly. And I don't think that Hanabi will be able to buff Jingliu in the same way that a character like Dan Heng and Bibitur Lune would get buffed from Hanabi. Again, I'm being very vague, but I have to right now until the 2.0 special programming comes out. Stay tuned for that because I will immediately be diving deep into Black Swan and Hanabi the moment that airs. But you'll just have to read between the lines of what I mean by Dan Heng getting a buff. If Dan Heng gets massively buffed by Hanabi and Jingliu doesn't quite get the same type of buffs, use your brain, think between the lines of what I mean by that. She's going to be incredible as well. So, should you pull for Hanabi? Should you pull for Ruan Mei? That's a question no one can truly answer. But, based on your account, based on your teams, Hanabi or Ruan Mei might be better for you. Ruan Mei is kind of like the jack of all trades. She works well on literally any account. Hanabi is going to be a little bit more niche. Obviously, she's a buffer. She's going to be good on any team. But she's going to literally like super duper hyper focus and raise the power level of certain teams over others. Again, Ruan Mei raises the power level of every team. She might have certain team synergies that are better than others, but Hanabi, for example, is going to literally elevate Mono Quantum into like the top tier of teams, and she's also going to potentially raise the power level of Dan Heng and Bibitur Lune so high. Dan Heng and Bibitur Lune might end up being the new best DPS character again after Hanabi releases. I can't say that definitively. That's just a random idea that a lot of people, including myself, have been thinking based on the kit that we've seen from her so far. Anyways, if you found this video helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Because if you do, Ruan Mei might let you touch her butt. Peace out.